The Greywater drainage project is coming along really well. My goal is to get enough done before the weather gets cold that I can do the rest of my work inside. So right now, the outside drain pipe has been laid, leveled, and glued together, and the piping that goes to the building has been finished. So all I have to do to complete my goal is to connect the piping that goes through the building to the outside pipe, run myself a quick water test, and then cover the outside pipe. Got the pipe put together. You can see here it runs from the yome all the way down through the perf pipe and out. However, I think I made a pretty bad mistake. Right there is a pretty screwy joint. When I designed it, I thought it was going to be okay. I thought it was all going to go downhill and not be a problem, but it really looks like a choke point to me. A portion of it actually runs uphill, which is a recipe for it freezing and clogging up the whole rest of the system. And so even though I've been at this for days and I was really hoping to finish today, if I bury that the way it is, I think I'm going to be fucked. I think it's not going to work. So at this moment, I'm feeling tired and discouraged, and I know it's going to start snowing really soon and this needs to be done. And I don't even really know what the right fix for this is. So I don't know. I think I'm just going to take some time thinking about it. Try to figure out what to do next. I've been thinking a lot about what it means to have the fullest human experience I can have. One of the analogies I've been working with is imagining all of human experience as one big map. And each time I have another kind of experience, I get to push a pin in at that place and say, I've been here. And also, I've been imagining about how those pins are grouped. In other words, if I have a lot of experiences that are very similar, I'll have visited more places on the map, but they'll all kind of be clustered together. It's kind of like the equivalent of maybe never leaving my small town. Whereas if I have wildly different experiences, and I get to push pins all over at the edges of the map, then it feels like I would really get a better sense of what it's like to be fully human. And I kind of feel like I've done a pretty good job of that. I'm sure I can be even more varied than I have been. But for example, I've worked doing massage therapy and as a computer programmer and installing industrial chain link fences. I've driven and bought nice sports cars and repaired shitty old Chevettes by hand. I've had both friendships and intimate relationships of all different kinds, standard and non-standard. And now I feel like I've had two pretty wildly different experiences with just how I live day to day. From living in a modern home with all of its modern conveniences to what I'm doing now, which is basically having to pay attention to almost all of my resources in a totally different way. It's certainly more challenging. I don't think I've had more than a week go by in a long time where I haven't felt completely overwhelmed at some point. And yet, I'll take that trade because what I get for it is this deep satisfaction of really fully living. I was able to recover from yesterday's design flaw in the drainage piping pretty easily. It turns out that hot tubs use a flexible form of PVC that joins to regular old plastic PVC just fine. So all I did was I just cut out the bad part of my design and I replaced it with a nice smooth curve of flexible PVC, and it worked great. I ran a test, water flows beautifully, and I was able to actually finish up things today. I put some landscape fabric over the pipe and covered it with a little bit of dirt. It does need a little more dirt to completely finish it, but basically it's done and working. Now, one of the things I'm taking away from this is just how far my subjective experience can get from objective reality. In the moment that I discovered that design flaw, I was feeling pretty hopeless. I kind of felt like I wasn't gonna be able to fix it and it sucked and I'd done all this work for nothing. But objectively, it took me about 15 minutes of feeling that way, and then about 45 minutes of doing some research to figure out a solution, and maybe about 2 hours to actually implement the solution. So objectively, not that bad, not that big of a deal. It's kind of a good reminder for me that when I get to feeling that way, I just need to take a pause and do a reality check, because how I'm feeling may be very divorced from objective reality. The Greywater drainage system is now complete. And I have to say, it feels like it's just in the nick of time. The days have been getting shorter, the nights have been getting colder, and pretty soon this ground below my feet is going to be frozen solid for the rest of the winter. And I certainly won't be able to do any of the kind of digging that I've been doing. So I feel pretty lucky to get it done in time. One area that's pretty concerning to me though, and something that also illustrates my lack of experience, is I'm not entirely sure I've designed this system to be able to function all 12 months of the year. The problem is in the winter, the frost line here, the place where you have to bury a pipe deep enough so that the water is guaranteed to not freeze, is very deep. It's like 4 or 5 feet. And I did not put my pipe that deep. My pipe is maybe 12 to 14 inches deep. So it's entirely possible that in February in minus 10 degree weather, the pipe's just gonna freeze solid and I won't be able to dump any water down my drainage system. Which would totally suck, by the way. But it might work. The pipe's really long and there's lots of holes in it and plenty of places for the water to go with the extra rocks that I put in, and I'm really not going to be dumping that much water down there. So it's possible that it might work, but it may not work too. I'm really just going to have to wait and see. So I'm just crossing my fingers that everything's going to work out and all this work that I've done is going to result in a system that will work all 12 months of the year.